Welcome to a book review by Geospinach. Today we are reviewing the book of Elon Musk, the new book that just came out. What we're going to do today is we're going to analyze the book and see if it's worthwhile for you to see. And I'm going to try to give you away any spoilers, but just to cover the main topics that the book covers. Now, firstly, the book is called Elon Musk by Walter Isaacson. The author of the book, I do admire him. He's a really good author and has written many biographies in the past. And the way in which he writes his books, it's quite excellent. And surprisingly enough, the general concept of the book is that it doesn't show very hard biases. When I bought the book, I expected that the book will mainly be about a book praising Musk, and this is not the case. The book practically covers the life and the story of Elon Musk, especially after the early 2000s. It analyzes his character, his problematic issues with his character, the decisions he has taken and the risk that he's taken. It analyzes the companies and what he has done with each of his companies, from Neuralink to Tesla to SpaceX, his choices, to his personal and family choices, to how he treated people, badly or not, his failures and weaknesses, and he goes into depth into analyzes how, as a character, Elon Musk many times fails. Like, he put emphasis on the fact that he has Asperger's and probably has bipolar disorder, and that he goes into this demon mode, and he can be ruthless many times. And a lot of the things you have seen at public has been the case to be the true character of Elon Musk. But at the same time, he also pays attention to the dream that is Elon Musk, his vision and so on. Now, going in deeply, it starts the book, and throughout the book it jumps around, but it's a good narrating book, so it keeps you interesting. It puts huge attention to the family and the ego of Elon Musk, like his mania of having a family, but at the same time his inability to keep up with an actual relationship, the fact that he has a lot of children. He goes into depth with his first son that transitioned into a daughter and how that has affected him. It also shows his faults and the quite bad and I guess traumatic experience he has with his father. Originally, I thought this was an attempt to excuse his behavior, and in many cases it does feel so that Elon Musk does a lot of bad things, but he had a bad childhood. But at the same time, the book avoids that by continuing criticizing, like that the fact that Elon Musk's many cases does act like his father, the person that he despises. And this is a very genuine criticism of Elon Musk. So the book in regards to his personal life does a good job, but it doesn't go in depth in many cases that I would like it to go into depth. Of course, the man is still alive, his children are still young, so I'm assuming they didn't want to go much into depth as to avoid any harassments to his children and his family, which is very acceptable. In general, Elon Musk and the Change of World, it puts a lot of focus on what he has actually accomplished, and to his critics in regards to how he fails in many times, how he can manipulate the stock to become more richer, and his idiotic dreams, and that everything is a fantasy and an overvaluation. Well, the book tries to answer all of these questions by practically showing you what Elon Musk has done with each one of his companies, how he made the production, the lies that he had told in the past, which I didn't expect, the way he treated many people, how he believes it's a good way to run a business, which is the idea of not having any restrictions placed upon without and genuinely cause for that restrictions, and the way and the methodology which he works, which is quite genuinely worthwhile to understand. At the same time, it goes really into depth on his vision and how he looks the world and how he looks to changing the world. For example, in regards to Twitter, it goes into depth about his ever-changing man in Twitter, the fact that I got the feeling that he didn't really want to buy Twitter by the end of it, and that he was more of a dreamer than practicable when it came to Twitter, but then he's trying to fix it after all, and that he's turning more his big focus. Now, in general, the book and Elon Musk, and I will try not to spoil you anything. He focuses mainly on bringing humanity to Mars. Like, that's the number one goal. And then you have his objective of creating a reasonable AI that can help humans progress, but at the same time not take control over people. And then to have a fully electric cars. Now, these are his dreams, which in many cases can be seen like too much or extrovert, but on the other side, he has shown that he's able to perform. Now, whether he's full of shit or not, it really depends on case by case. It's up to you to read the book to see between the lines if what the book says is actually valuable for you or not. But for me, in general, I'm giving it a 9 out of 10 when it comes to structure narrative. It was quite a well-written book by the author, quite expected by that author. He also wrote the book of Steve Jobs and the biography of Steve Jobs. It's a very good book. The depth, 8 out of 10, even 7 out of 10. It goes into depth, and in many cases it goes really into depth, but in many other cases it kind of trims over it, like the whole thing with Amber Heard, it just touches a bit and then just goes away, while in other cases goes really into it. And of course, I'm assuming the author does it as not to bore the audience, but at the same time to protect the author himself. Let's not forget, Elon Musk is still alive. Now, the bias and the quality, I'm giving it a 7 out of 10. Like, I was expecting a lot of bias, and it didn't have as much bias. But nonetheless, there was some bias in the book. Quite a lot, but you can expect it. It's a biography of a person that's still alive, that he, I think, personally funded the creation of this book, which I'm not sure if that's the case, but it's probable. Probably he believes creating this book, Elon Musk believes creating this book will create more fanboys for him, which, well, whether that's bad or good is up to you. But I think that's one of the reasons he wrote this book, to kind of excuse his actions in many cases and to create more fanboys. But it doesn't feel like it. But the general goal, I believe, was that, and to put emphasis on some topics that he believes are hard. Now, the narration, I'm giving it a 10 out of 10. Excellent narration of the book. Didn't go bored. The guy saying the book was saying things right, on point, without sounding boring. So in overall, I'm giving it an 8.35. A great listen. I do recommend it if you care about Elon Musk and if you want to understand his dream. It's a good book to read and apprehend. Thank you for watching and have a good night.